Africa should be seen as a place full of opportunities and not a place of problems, says President William Ruto from Kenya through an interview as he was trying to demonstrate on how Africans, each and every year, they are losing more than $5 billion trading with other nations. Guys, how possible is that? How can Africans have to lose this kind of money each and every year just because they are trading to other nations' currency? Until when will these people have to start taking African serious when it comes to the way of trading with other nations? Until when Africans will have to understand that the moment is right now more than ever? How possible you have to allow someone to come and impose to you their currency, which they'll have to charge you the cost of you trying to trade with them? Well, in order for us to understand all this, I'm inviting first to have listened to what President Ruto said through this interview as he was visiting Republic of India last week, and he had to give all these details so that we'll come back again and give you more analysis about on how Africa, it is losing a lot of money each and every year in order for them to trade with other nations through their currency, not even African currency. Let us have watch.
I think what we must not bring an us versus them, this versus the other. We have no problem with the US dollar, but we want currency neutral trade. You know, we want to diversify currency. For example, for us in Africa, we are working with the Afri-Exim Bank to have a Pan-African payment and settlement system where trade in Africa will be in local currency, you know, but the settlement can be done at a higher level by a centralized system. Afri-Exim is providing a facility because we lose about $5 billion every year in Africa just in exchange rates between this currency and this currency and the dollar, this currency and the other one. So we are saying we want trade, we want commerce, we want transactions to be currency neutral. For us, we want to trade in our local currencies. And in fact, the conversation I was having yesterday with Prime Minister Modi is that even the facility that will be extended to Kenya, the $250 million facility, we want it in Indian rupees, so that we can, why should we go and look for dollars when we can have the facility in Indian rupees? We have a lot of trade, you know, we have commodities, we buy in Indian rupees. Why should we change Kenya shilling to US dollar, from US dollar to Indian rupees? Why don't we just agree that we can do trade between Kenya in shillings and in rupees? So this is what the conversation we are having.
You recently also said that the world is now looking at Africa as an opportunity and not as a source of problems. And we see the growing interest. You know, there are European players like France, there's the US, there's China, there's Russia. Do you also then see a new scramble for Africa sort of taking shape?
Scramble would be the wrong word. Maybe maybe a new focus. You know, what we are saying as African leaders is, and I will tell you what I have said often, that there is an African proverb that says, until the lion learned to write his own story, all stories glorified the hunter, because he was the one writing. So this time round, we're going to write our own story. For a long time, people wrote stories about Africa, and they said Africa is a place of disease, poverty, conflict, problems. We're telling them Africa is much more than that.
That was President William Ruto from Kenya in his official visit in the Republic of India. So he had to give this interview. The interview is very long, but we just want us to focus on this particular point that he says, Africa, we are losing about more than $5 billion each and every year trading with other nations. Guys, that is a lot of money. These are the money actually that can make Africa to develop. These are the money that can make Africans youth to have more jobs. You know, these are the kind of money that can make Africa to stand on its feet and try to do things like other nations out there, like other continents out there. But seeing Africa losing this kind of money out there each and every year, we need to understand how possible is this. Because when you listen to President Ruto, he did not go much in details. He only said that Africa we are losing more than $5 billion each and every year, but he did not collaborate more to explain Africans on how we get to lose this money. Well, that's why we are here, because through our analysis, we are going to show you some of the things that make Africans to be able to always lose this kind of money each and every year. We are going to explain to you some of the things that make Africans to always lose this kind of monies, and we will also try to suggest a solution to all this, because we can't just condemn, we can't just criticize, but we must come out also with a solution, and that will be something that will benefit all of us. Guys, before I get to touch this point more in details, I just want to give you a very simple example of something that I witnessed myself. Actually, I saw it on the TV as I was watching one of the African country, I'm not going to mention the name, with their leader. They are actually organizing elections at the moment. And what happened is that their leader was busy doing the campaign in one of the city. And then as he was busy talking, everyone, the population, the crowd that was around him, they were kind of like asking, Mr. President, dollar. Then I was like, okay, these people, they're Africans, and yet they are talking about dollar. What's happened with dollar? Do they use dollar like the way we are using dollar in Zimbabwe? Like, because remember, Zimbabwe, they have Zimbabwe dollars, which is different from the US dollars. So I was like, no, it's fine, no? This country, they don't use dollar. They have their own money. They have their own currency. But how come they are all talking about dollar and not about their own currency? Well, as the president was about, their president was about to give them the answer about this so-called, because they were complaining, saying that the dollar rate, it is very higher to compare to their currency. So the president now have to explain to them something. Now, listen to this. The president, as was replying to them, the first word comes from his mouth. He said that dollar, US dollar, it is not our money. It is not our currency. So when you guys, you are asking me about dollars, saying that the rate of dollar is very high, I mean, guys, don't you think that you are asking the wrong questions at the wrong time? Because we're supposed to be making our money, our currency, become even more powerful than dollar. But listening to you, it is like you are putting dollar as your first currency that you value. You give it more value than your own currency. And the president goes on and telling them that, no, listen, in order for us to defeat dollar, in order for us to bring the power of dollar down, we need to start first, make sure that we cultivate, food, so that everything that we're supposed to be importing outside of our country, then we'll have to have it here in our country. And if we have it within our countries, then it will be more easy for people who are supposed to be getting money out of this country. They're not going to be able to get them that money anymore, because we're not going to trade with them. Instead, we'll trade among ourselves as one nation with our own currency. I don't know if you are following me so far. So this president, he was trying to tell his people that we don't need to give that power to dollar, because US dollar, it is not our money. We have our currency, and let us talk about our currency. If we want our currency to have a value, if we want to defeat US dollar, then we need to make sure that we start trading among ourselves. Once we start trading among ourselves, the US dollar won't have the role to play within us. And once the US dollar is not, they are not going to be able to play to have a role to play among us, then that is how it will lose its value. Well, where I was seated as I was watching this man talking, I end up realizing that no, this makes sense, because when you look the Europe, they are the most powerful nations which are allied to the US. And the US dollar, it is what have a very big impact in the world. But even though they are partners, see what the Europe did. They went and put their power together, and they make sure that they find an easy way to defeat US dollar. What did they do? They came up with euros. They came up with euros, and they give all the power to euros. They reject US dollar. They start trading among themselves as European countries. They trade with their own monetaries, through with their own currency, without having anything to do with the US dollar. They only trade with US dollar when it comes like, no, they have to trade with Americans. But when it comes like among themselves, they have this monetary called euros, and these monetaries is helping them at least to trade among themselves and to give them that power so that they can overstand the US dollar. Is that the case with Africa? I believe your answer is no. Do you know why? Because in Africa, each and every African country, they have their own monetary. They have their own currency. Some of them, I can even go far to give you more example, especially in those French-speaking countries. They still have the money which was founded by the colonizer. Yes, all the country which was colonized by France, they're still using franc CFA. This money is printed somewhere in France under the leadership of Macron with his government. These are the people who have the power to tell you how much of money they need to print for your country. And they will tell you what this money need to be used for. Once they do that, these countries, up to today, they're still paying tax in a very big high number of tax to France. Now, guys, with all this short, small example that I just give to you, how do you expect Africa to not lose this kind of amount of 500 billion US dollar each and every year? 500. Guys, do you know what is 1 billion US dollar can do to an economy of an African country? Because in Africa, we are having countries which are still having their budget. They are voting their budget in the parliament of less than 500 million US dollar. If you have to calculate it in the US currency. Some African countries, if you take a country such as Rwanda, their budget is standing at the moment at 17 US dollar, and all that is thanks to Paul Kagame for his leadership that he did in that country for after all these years. What about all these African countries that they have leaders who usually loot in behalf of the Western power? This puppet government or president that we all know, once they're in power, they start looting their country. They bring that instability in their economy because they want to satisfy their masters who are seated somewhere in America and Europe. What about those countries? Do you know the budget of a country such as Chad? How much do they have, like each and every year? That government, after they collect all the tax, pay money and everything, how much do they have? You don't have an idea. Me, I know, for an example, like Republic of Congo, DRC. Not long ago, that country, they were having the budget of about less than 1 billion US dollar. Yes, we're talking about 800 millions US dollar. Now look the large of that country. Look the kind of minerals that that country produce. Number one in the world when it comes to natural resource minerals. Everything that that country has. Yet they were only having less than 1 billion US dollar. It is only recently the new government that under the leadership of President Tshisekedi that we get to see now they have increased their budget is something over over than is it 6 or 16 billion US dollar. You correct me if I'm wrong about that. But now they have shifted from millions of US dollar to billions of US dollar, hoping that in the near future they'll even increase more money. So guys, Africans, we seem to be the problem to our own problem. Still again, Africans, we seem to be the solution to our own problem at the same time. But what hates me the most is for the fact that we are so ignorant to the point that we even ignore our own problems. We can see that this is the solution that we need all to follow and apply it. Yet we don't want to do that. All because we are still having that hatred of one another. All because we think that my country is better than that other African country. All because we believe that no, we are strong in Africa than other African country. But forgetting that this is something that the Western power, the open eye mass system they have implanted in Africans to make sure that Africa they should be divided, to make sure that Africa they should not be united, to make Africa that they should not speak one language, they should not have one currency. Once they go in their separate ways, that's how we'll get even more chance for us to come and impose our leadership on Africans so that we can be able to continue looting Africa as they've been doing all these years. Africa, we are losing more than 500 billion. I mean, we're talking about 5 billion US dollar each and every year. Now, if we have to go back in 1890 something, that's when these people they start leaving Africa, and then they come up with a system of making Africa countries trading with them. From that moment to this generation of ours, can you have an idea of how much Africa continent have lose just trading with this nation? Now, as I asked earlier on, I believe it is the same question you too, you might be asking, but how possible is that? How are we managing to lose this kind of money? Well, here's very easy mathematical example, should I say so, that I want to show you. When you go to Europe, to America, to Australia, you find yourself there as an African child. Now, it happened that your your family back home here in Africa, they need some help. Or maybe you want to invest. Or maybe you want to send them money so that they will buy you a house. You want to do something for your family or for yourself. Wherever you have found yourself, you need to send that money through a bank. You need to send that money through Western Union. Now, whenever you go to Western Union, for those who always go to Western Union, you guys, you know very well that there is some fees that need to be that they will charge you. So you're not gonna go there because you want to send 100 US dollar to your country and you expect them to just like take that money and transfer it just the way it is. No. If you are sending 100 US dollar, they will charge you some percentage of money that you need to pay. If you pay that money, which means the receiver, the person that you have sent this money to, they will receive 100 US dollar, right? Now, that money that they charge you, that money only usually charge you, whether you are sending it through the business, whether you're sending it to another individuals, whether it is a company and through another company, whether it is a government through another government. All those percentage they usually charge 5 to 15% that they usually charge. When we collect it, the entire Africa, from country to another country, that is how we end up finding ourselves losing more than 5 billion US dollar each and every year. Now, where does this money goes? Of course, this money goes to increase their economy, to make their economy become even more powerful, become even more stronger, while they are busy stealing from us. That is another way of stealing, because they came with the US dollar, they impose it on Africans, and then they start charging Africans for that. As I gave you another example saying that until today, as we're talking right now, if you go to Burkina Faso, Mali, Chad, Togo, Congo, Brazzaville, Gabon, Niger, all those French colonized countries, they're still using the money of their colonizer. And this money, each and every year, they pay tax for that. And that tax, France collect it. France collect that money with stupid reasons that they usually give. They'll say that, no, we need to buy papers, we need to buy printings, we need to do this in order for us to do that, or we need to pay the reserve banks, blah blah blah. Too much stories, because that is the easy way they can be able to loot on Africans. So they need to come up with some stupid reasons so that whenever they bring it to you and you feel like that, you give it to them. Now, why those African countries, they are not able to come up with their own currency? Those are the questions we should be asking each one of us as true Pan-Africans. If we want to stop all this kind of nonsense, if we want to put a limit to all this shit, we need at least to start asking this kind of serious questions and come up with answer to all these questions. Otherwise, we'll stick at this point, we're not gonna go anywhere, we'll keep on complaining and we're never gonna come up with a solution. Guys, I gave you example of Europeans. They are very good with the very good friend with Europe. With the US. Yet they are like, no, look, dude. Yes, we see your currency, we see your money, but keep it for yourself. As we are sovereign countries, and we need to do things in our own. They went on, they came up with the pounds, they came up with the euros, they continue trading among themselves, even with other countries which are outside of Europe. If you heard that EU, they are giving funds to any of the world country, they are giving their funds in US dollar. No. They always allocate their money to these countries as ads in euros or pounds. Why? Because they don't want to give power to the US dollar. Now look in the table of all the world monetaries, where there is currencies. You will see that there is a British money, which is pounds. There is a euros, which is represent the Europe Union. There is a US dollar. There is a Canada dollar. There is a Australia dollar. And there is a Russia, I forgot the name. There is also a little bit India. Yes. India's that there. There is a China, is also there. There is, you see that these people, their countries, they manage to make their money become very powerful by imposing it to trade with other nations. If you want to buy anything in China, they are imposing you with their own currency. So if you are showing them US dollar, no matter how billion of US dollar you are having, they will give you their own amount. So it is either their own amount is even more very easy at cheap price. So it is either you bring your money and trade with them in their currency. If you want to trade with your own currency, then you'll have to pay even more money, because they'll tell you that your money does not have that enough value to defeat their currency. All these countries that I mentioned with their own militaries, you will see that African countries were not in. We are not in, not even one country in Africa. It is there. So they are making us become like their toys, like we become like their battlefield. Like whenever they do something, they need to come and try it on Africans, because they can see that there is no any nation in Africa who have that powerful currency to stand also in the world and try to tell these people that no, it is for Africans. We don't. We are not among all these countries. I mean, we've been giving these people power, too much powers. That's the reason why they'll go and invade something, whether it is a bomb, whether it is a gun machine, whether it is a new type of bullet or whatsoever. They want to come and apply it or try it in Africa, on Africans. That's the reason why you see Africa is full of conflicts, tribalisms, misunderstanding of one another. It's not something that Africans want. No, it's something that these people, they have they're imposing on Africans. And us, just because we don't want to accept the fact, we keep on entertaining them. So guys, the only way we can run away from all this is the day we'll stand on our own. One, let us come up with our own currency. I heard President Ruto saying that no, Africans should start trading among ourselves with our own currency. Which means if you are from South Africa, you take the ZAR, which is South African rand, you trade with maybe Mozambique, I don't know what their currency is called of. Or maybe you trade with Botswana, with Pula over there. Well, that's beautiful. But I don't think it's still a good idea. For me, my suggestion to all this is that we need to come up with one currency, one African currency that will come with its new rules, I mean to say terms and conditions. That if you want to trade with any of African country, this is the currency you need to come through. We need to have our own African bank, central bank. Let us not keep depending on European banks or world banks or whatsoever. No. That is the reason why America, they're having many power. I mean, they're having too much power to always bully other countries out there. Whereby if you do something and that does not please them, they have to come and bully you by imposing their sanctions on you, telling you that no, we are going to freeze this, we are going to do that, we are going to do that, because they are the one who control everything. So what about if we come up with our own currency, our own bank, which we know that even if America try to bully one of African country, at least this reserve bank to be there to help this African country, and we'll be able to trade among ourselves. Another reason or solution, what about we start not importing things from Europe, from Russia, from China, and start importing among ourselves as Africans? For example, South Africa coming up, they start making maybe a car that each and every African will have to go and buy. We make our own Mercedes, we make our own BM. In some way, maybe Tunisia or Algeria, you find maybe they are just good with toiletry. They just make everything, like fabricating them, manufacturing everything over there. And we start importing it in Africa. You go maybe in Zambia, you find them also, they are focused on one thing. That this one we're making not only for people of Zambia, but it's for the whole Africa continent. Why can't we do that? Because these are the things that can help us to separate ourselves from all this open eye master system. These are the things that will make us not to continue losing this $5 billion US each and every year. Because if we start, for example, cultivating, remember what makes China become a powerful nation in the world? It is all through the food, not money. They start first cultivating, they make it more clear that each and every China should cultivate. And when we're talking about having farm, these people, they were having farm, like even at the young age of 18, you find someone having a very big farm. They invest into it, they make the world eat their rice, they make the world taste their food, and then that is how they start now thinking of doing other stuff around the world. So I think Africa, we need first to start doing that, because we still have problem of hunger. Yes, a lot of Africans goes to bed without food. A lot of Africans keep on traveling around the world because they are in search of looking for a better life. So what about if we try to ameliorate the conditions of our citizens as Africans. We come up with things that can make an African to not envy to go to another country in order for them to go look for a better life. Make everything easy for them. Open up job opportunities. Make sure that we are having our African banks that can be able to give loan to Africans so that they can also invest for those who did not go to school or who did not have a certain qualifications. They can even become businessmen and women. These are the things that we can do so that it will definitely stop and say no to the US dollar, say no to the euros, say no to pounds and many other world currency. Because once we start trading among ourselves, I don't see that there will be any country who will jump our currency to go and try to impose to one of African country their own currency. These are the things that we need to do if we want to stop this. But as long we still separate, as long we hate one another, as long we believe that my country currency is much more powerful compared to yours, my Nigerian naira is more powerful to Zambian kwacha, or maybe my Zambian kwacha is more powerful to Ivory Coast franc CFA, I believe we're never gonna go anywhere, because this is their strategy. They want Africans to be separate. They want Africans to not have one understanding, to not have one language when it comes to matters that they get to discuss among themselves. They want us to be always separate so that they will be able to continue imposing their leadership and doing all these bad things to Africans. Guys, these are the things that we need to do if we want to avoid this kind of traumas. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video up to now. It was very important that we once again come here and remind you the importance of the unity of Africans, and to show you the importance why Africa need to have its own money, its own currency. Because this is something that will benefit me and you. This is something that will benefit even the generation after me and you. We have left this world. Now, it is up to you to consider this or not. But through the comment section, feel free to also share with us your point of view on what you find very important about this. If you have also something that you want to add on what we have just discussed, feel free to drop us your comment in the comment section. We'll have a look on that, and it will benefit more Pan-Africans who are found around the world out there. And please, if you find anything beneficial that you would like to take with you and you want to catch more on what we usually do here time to time, well, it is very simple. Click that subscribe button so that whenever we are here live, you get a notification and join this big family of Cool Buzz TV. But above all, don't leave, please, without you liking this video. If you look down here, there is that sharp button like this. Just click on it. Give us your thumbs up, because we really do appreciate it. It is free of charge. You are not giving us money. We are not taking anything from you or something like that. It's free of charge. The reason why we're asking you to like this video is because this kind of message can reach to many more people out there. It is a gospel of Africans, and we need to make sure that each and every Africans get to benefit from what you are learning from us. So if you don't like this video, then it won't be recommended to many people. But if you like this video, it will be recommended to many people, because we want this message to reach to every Africans, so that one of these days we can wake up and come up with a true revolutions that will make Africa to be united and come up with a solution to all these miseries that we get to see here and then in Africa continent. For now, continue to be yourself, be good, be kind. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon in our next video. Ciao, ciao.